Greetings from the International Labour Office to the participants of the 5th edition of Research in Culture meeting in Brasilia. I would like to thank the organizers of this event for inviting us to provide a video message. At the ILO, our work on cooperative enterprises is guided by the recommendation on the promotion of cooperatives, number 193, which was adopted in 2002. This international labor standard on cooperatives has been utilized by more than 110 countries in revising and updating their cooperative laws and policies. I would like to make 2 points on international labor standards and cooperatives here. My first point is that in the context of the rapidly changing world of work, it is important for lawyers, researchers, and practitioners interested in cooperative enterprises to reflect on other international labor standards, especially those related to fundamental principles and rights at work, as it pertains to cooperative law, policy, and practice. These 4 areas of fundamental principles and rights at work are freedom of association and the effective recognition of the right to collective bargaining, the elimination of forced or compulsory labor, the abolition of child labor, and the elimination of discrimination in respect of employment and occupation. Adopted in 1998, this Declaration on Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work commits member states to respect and promote them, whether or not they have ratified the relevant conventions around them. These are areas of critical importance in the context of growing casualization of labor in the platform economy, persisting precarity of employment in the informal economy, as well as the growing labor rights deficits in the global supply chains, where cooperatives are often also engaged from both the producer but also the consumer end. My second point regarding cooperatives and international labor standards is about growing calls from the social and solidarity economy actors, researchers, practitioners, and advocates for a discussion on the social and solidarity economy at the United Nations in general and at the ILO in particular, with an eye toward putting an international standard in place. These calls are heard at the United Nations Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy, which is currently chaired by the ILO. They are also heard from the recently launched Pact for Impact initiative, a global alliance for social and inclusive economy as led by the French government. At the ILO, we regularly receive requests from our constituents, namely governments, workers, and employers' organizations, around creating an enabling environment, not only for cooperatives, but also for the wider social and solidarity economy. In our approach, we see law and practice around social and solidarity economy as strongly linked to and built upon the knowledge and experience of law and practice on cooperatives. Adopting an understanding of continuity between cooperatives and the wider social and solidarity economy is relevant at a time when there are calls for value-driven businesses that are not solely driven by profit as a motive, but also have social and environmental concerns as part of their raison d'etre. I would like to take a few minutes to share some observations based on recent research and practice from the ILO on laws, policies, and programs around cooperatives and the wider social and solidarity economy. I will base my observations on 4 categories, namely state capacity, policy coherence, participation, and sustainability. On state capacity, even when states undertake significant steps to design legislation, policy, and programs for advancing cooperatives and the wider social economy, there are major challenges to state capacity in attaining desired objectives. For many countries in the global south, this is about having the capacity to put the law in practice by committing budgetary and human resources. Often after new laws and policies are put in place, there is an expansion of cooperatives and other social solidarity economy enterprises. But when these are not supported by co-op education, advisory and training services, and financial services, then the likelihood of failure, weak administrative and managerial capacities, and inability to internalize cooperative principles is quite high. We have observed such setbacks in a number of countries, like the Republic of Korea, the Philippines, and South Africa, to name a few. In our work, we find harmonization and unification of cooperative laws are important steps toward policy coherence. In this regard, it is necessary to look at broader development strategies, economic, social, and labor market legislation, and policies as to whether they enable or undermine cooperatives and other social and solidarity economy enterprises. For instance, does the National Development Plan, Agriculture and Trade Policy, or the Youth Employment Strategy of the country mention, or even better, integrate cooperatives and wider social and solidarity economy? On participation, it is crucial to assess whether there is a social and political dialogue tradition in the country, and if so, which actors are involved to influence cooperative and wider social and solidarity economy legislation and policy. Are the social partners, namely workers and employers organizations, included in the consultations? What about cooperative movement representatives and other social and solidarity economy stakeholders? Is the consultation with these actors cosmetic or real, involving them across the process? Effective participation and social dialogue ensure ownership and buy-in from these actors and thus optimize the chances of effective application of the law. Sustainability of a legal and policy environment that is pro-cooperative and social and solidarity economy may be under risk when governments change from one policy orientation to the other. In this case, it's important not to over-rely on the state as the active change agent, rather than multiple actors and institutions that make up the broader ecosystem of cooperatives and wider social and solidarity economy. Coordinated participation on the part of the cooperative movement and the wider social and solidarity economy actors can also help safeguard against retreat from a commitment by the state. For us, a major challenge to sustainability in public policy is the lack of adequate statistics, monitoring and evaluation of actual performance and impact. In recent years, the ILO has joined forces with members of the Committee for the Promotion and Advancement of Cooperatives, which includes the International Cooperative Alliance, as well as other UN agencies such as UNDESA and the FAO, working towards the adoption of international guidelines on the measurement of cooperatives. These guidelines were adopted last October at the 20th International Conference of Labor Statisticians in Geneva. The guidelines aim to facilitate the development of a set of statistics on cooperatives that will provide adequate information base for a wider range of descriptive, analytical, and policy purpose related to cooperatives. The ILO is committed to developing a manual to be presented for discussion at the 21st International Conference of Labor Statisticians in 2023. Between now and then, there will be pilot testing of the guidelines in some countries in collaboration with constituents and the co-op and social economy movement. And we would welcome Brazil in this regard to be one of the countries for pilot testing of these guidelines. In fact, efforts are also underway by the UN Task Force on Social and Solidarity Economy to advance the work that was done on statistics of cooperatives to establish similar standards on the wider social and solidarity economy. The world of work is changing rapidly. These changes necessitate innovative solutions to generating decent work, productive employment, and improved living standards for all in the face of these changes. The International Labour Conference of the ILO this year, which is its centenary year, has adopted a declaration that looks to the future of work with a human-centered lens. The declaration calls for an enabling environment for cooperatives and social and solidarity economy enterprises so they can better contribute to shaping a future of work that is human-centered. Thank you.